Sixth grade math, chapter 10 review. It has so many parts I can't remember what part this is. Maybe 7? I'm not sure. Okay, we are switching gears again here from surface area to volume. Volume means how many little cubes will this box hold if they're in 12 rows this way and 4.6 rows this way and 8 this way. It's a very poor drawing, but it turns into little cubes in there. And the question is, how many of those little 1-inch cubes would this thing hold? Now, fortunately, we don't have to draw it all out, and we don't have to do any counting. The formula is actually quite simple for this. For the volume of a rectangular prism, it's just the 3 dimensions multiplied together, length times width times height. So you just take the 3 numbers, 8 times 12 times 4.6, and you just multiply them together, and then you will have the volume. That's all you have to do. And if you put that in your calculator, you'll see that the volume equals 441.6, and then we keep our inches. But remember, it's about how many little cubes will fit in there. So volume is measured in cubic units. That means raised to the 3rd power. So that's the volume of a rectangular prism. Now we're going to find the volume of a triangular prism. Well, imagine if you had to stack up little cubes in there. There'd be partial cubes all over the place. It'd be a real mess. But remember about halving things, cutting things in half when you're dealing with triangles. Basically, this triangular prism holds half as many little cubes as if it were actually a rectangular prism with the same dimensions, okay? So all you do is multiply the 3 dimensions together, but then cut it in half. That's all there is to that. So the volume of a triangular prism is 1/2 times length times width times height. So volume equals 1/2 times, and then just put the 3 dimensions in there, times 10 times 12.5 times 8.5. And again, it doesn't even matter which order you put them in, because you're just going to multiply them together, and you can multiply in any order. So then you put all that in your calculator, and you should get 531.4, and our units meters, and because it is volume, it's cubic meters. Volume is always in cubic units. Number 28 is also a triangular prism. Same formula. Put your 3 dimensions in there. I don't care what the order is. And then when you multiply all that stuff together, don't forget that half, then you should get 312, and we've got millimeters, and the units have to be cubed because it is volume. Okay, now we're finding the volume of a cylinder. Again, if you had to fit the little cubes in there, it would be partial cubes, be a nightmare to count. But there's a pretty simple formula for the volume of a cylinder. It's pi r squared h, and you might remember pi r squared is the area of a circle, and then h just stands for the height. So you're finding the area of the circle and then multiplying it times the height. Now, the order of things does matter here, because r is going to get squared, so you have to make sure that r is where it belongs. So pi is 3.14 times r, the radius goes halfway across, is 8, don't forget the squared, and then the h is the height, which is 21. Again, we're squaring something. We need to make sure we take care of that first, so copy everything else. 8 squared is not 16, it is 64. 8 times 8 is 64 times 21. Then just throw that in your calculator. Multiply those three numbers together, and you should get 4,220. It doesn't say what the units are, so we'll put units. But since it is volume, it has to be units cubed, or cubic units. Okay, the next problem is really pretty much the same idea. The volume of the cylinder, the formula is pi r squared h. Just go ahead and plug in the things you know. Pi is 3.14 times the radius, which is 7, which must be squared, and then multiplied by the height, which is 15. We're only going to take care of the squaring first. 7 squared is 49. Then go ahead and put those things in your calculator, multiply the three numbers together, and you should get 2,308, and our unit was meters, and it has to be cubic meters. And I'm going to stop there, but if you had decided to do this last problem, you'd have to notice that they gave you 10 for the radius, so R would equal 5.